Hi everyone. Hope you're all doing well. So, I was just thinking of if anyone has heard of this term called survivorship bias. Because, we talk about, influencers making things look easy. Like they're like, oh, just start your own blog or something. No, you weren't fired as a mod, you're still a mod. Your name's in blue. So I'm just saying this thing called survivorship bias. I've just restarted, so yeah. So survivorship bias, which is when it's like, for example, the people who go to the gym and get fit, they're gonna be more fit than, say, like the general population. There's this thing called survivorship bias, which leads to kind of skewed perspectives on things. Oh, really? Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, there is that thing of government wasting fucking taxes. It's, you know what I mean? It's like, this is a thing where it's like, whoever's, like on benefits or whatever, it's like, people want to try and shame others for doing that, but then if you're going to work all day and then just have, a percentage of your money just robbed from you, then, you know what I mean? That's just going to end up going to, like, fund a bunch of bullshit. Like, the more money you spend, and the more the more money that you make, then the more money that you are contributing to basically like genocide and just wasted money. Like I was talking about the HS2. Now, this isn't an excuse to say that nobody should be working or anything. You should do the things that you enjoy in your life, is what I think. But some people, maybe it's good for them to have some time where they're not in a like permanent job or something, just so that they can get themselves on their feet or allow themselves to kind of get time to maybe work on something that is actually suited to them. Some people aren't really meant for the 9 to 5 grind. Some people might want to work for themselves or something, but maybe someone ended up in a situation where, like I said, it depends. Like I said, some people might be able to stay with their parents, and that's lucky if you can do that. If you're your parents and you can make that work, then that means you don't have to, spend a lot of money just to survive. In a lot of cases, unless you've had children or something. But some might argue that it's your responsibility if you've had children and you weren't able to, like, their own opinions on that. Some say it's, what do they call it? What's the word? Some people consider it as just, what's the word? Just kind of like freeloading or whatever they call it. Freeloading off other people. Freeloading is what it is, You just get rid of that high and back person. Just negative crap, Right, anyway. Benefits are a problem to a degree, but we only have 2 million people unemployed out of 70 million in the UK. Yeah. But you could say that only 30 million are actually employed, because the rest of them are either on pension but I get what you're saying. But I'd say that one person being unemployed is a drop in the ocean. So all these people wanting to shame a single person it's like it's going to be like a rounding error, like in terms of like the overall effect on the economy, is what I'm saying. So like, yeah, unemployment as a whole is an issue, and something like almost a quarter of tax money is going on welfare. So you could argue that if we could actually sort some of that out, then less money has to be wasted on giving it to those that don't need it. But I think that we should be trying to encourage people into doing things that are more suited to them, getting people to find their purpose in life. Because I would argue it's not necessarily good in the long run to just be without any kind of, whether it's self-employed, whether it's, employed in some kind of thing that you do. Now, some people do voluntary work as well. Some people decide to try and do something good. They'll just kind of, try to at least make themselves useful in some way. Yeah, they're sending money to wars. It's a disgrace, really, isn't it? Hello, Saviour. It's an absolute disgrace, I would say, and it's just not it, to say the least. It's just, but yeah. Sometimes greed knows no bounds. It's like they'll just keep on wanting more and more and more, to a point of more power, more money. And it's like nothing's ever enough for some of these people, these corporations that could probably put an end to like world starvation and things like that, but they just don't care. We've got these people with so much resources, they could just write a check and probably, solve most of these problems. But they don't, because it's not in their best interest, is it? I mean, some might say, oh, but it's not as easy. I think that they could at least try. Like, wasn't Bill Gates actually, I don't know how true this is, but I heard that Bill Gates was actually, I don't know, is it true that he was actually done for like something, or not done, but he was like, apparently done something fucked up in one of these third world countries or something. I don't know how true, because there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there that get, like, rumors spread and things like that. I wouldn't fight for my country, because I don't believe that I would actually be fighting for my country. I would be fighting probably for either the government or the corporate interests, and not the actual interests of the people. If you get me, it's like, I think it's all just that they're just having people fighting for, like, what are they actually getting out of that? They're going fighting proxy wars and all that, but what are they actually, fighting for? There was actually a song by System of a Down, and the lyrics go, why don't the presidents fight the war? Why do they always send the poor? That is what I mean. It's like they're having all the poor people just do all the dirty work for them. They won't go out and fight, will they? You know what I mean? Like, you won't see fucking Trump getting out on the fucking the government, going and fucking fighting the wars, will you? They're all in their fucking, posh fucking whatever lifestyles, and they're sitting back and just thinking, oh, I've got all these people all fucking, blowing each other's heads off, and while I'm just here just kind of, you know what I mean? Don't put in there, Cerberus, what you're saying. Why do third world countries have such a high birth rate? Good question. Well, some had this theory that, that because of so much disease and stuff, they try and have as many as possible to have the greatest chance of survival or something, whereas in wealthier countries with better healthcare, this is what Bill Gates was on about, and some people reckon that he's a eugenicist or something like that. I don't know what to believe, but I mean, I think maybe he was taken out of context a bit when they were talking about, people were trying to make out like he was trying to depopulate or something. I remember there was this whole Georgia Guidestones thing, and people saying that they want the population down to 500 million. But I've heard that the Georgia Guidestones was created by the Discordian Society or something like that. Don't know if anyone's heard about that, but yeah, there was this whole conspiracy theory about the Georgia Guidestones. But apparently that's been kind of debunked or something. Hello, Kurdish. I don't know, but yeah, that whole thing about 500 million people, and yeah. But I remember someone was sharing a thing a while ago that claimed that by the year 2025 that the population was going to collapse in almost every country. But I think it was just some like hoax website or something like that. And it looks like a real website of like predictions or something, but it's like you can't trust anything hardly that you see on the internet, you know? Hello, Vibe Vine. Not really. I've seen bits of it. Like, I get the general concept of like the Matrix and all that, and like the whole thing, like taking the blue and the red pill, and I see it as like a sort of metaphor of, like, do you just kind of live in this kind of comfortable bliss, or are you willing to face the harsh reality? Because some people just want to kind of have their, what they call blinkers on. Kind of like in the film They Live as well. That was another one where you see the, with the sunglasses, and they would see things differently. Like it would say obey and all that, and it would be like, I see it as like a metaphor for reality, this whole thing of, that they put things in films that kind of relates to reality. Some might even say that the Truman Show was kind of like another one that's sort of a metaphor for reality, where we're all being kind of, we get these, like deceptive ads and all this stuff. We're all basically living on a stage where you've got all these deceptive marketing ploys and all this fakery in society, and it's like the thing of just everyone's all just, but I mean obviously it's not as extreme as everyone else is some actor, but basically what it means is that everyone's playing the system, and the thing is that in this society that we're in, you've got what they might call just almost like, they're almost like sleeper agents of the system, where there's people who, they think they're doing something good for society, but they're actually just kind of being used as like a sort of tool to keep perpetuating the cycle of just greed and power. Hello, Robocop, how you doing? Or is that true? I don't know, I've not really looked too much into populations and things like that. What deed are you talking? Oh yeah. Yeah. On about condoms, what the hell? It's going about condoms now, something. I mean, the Austrian painter, I think, was just crazy. But I know some people say stuff about kind of, oh, you can't believe everything you hear and all that, but it's like, I have no reason to think that he was a good guy. Oh, diamonds are less expensive in Africa. Well, I remember there was this film called Blood Diamond. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but it was a really dark film. It was a good film though, Blood Diamond. Yeah, yeah, Blood Diamond. It was about the harsh realities of the diamond trade. Yeah, we're talking different things right now and stuff. Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio played in it. Yeah, yeah, Blood Diamond. Just talking about how, yeah, like certain films can be quite poignant, if you will. I think would be the right word. Like The Matrix is like, it's got certain analogies you could say to reality. I don't think we're literally, I mean, who knows? Maybe we live in a simulation, like a computer simulation, but the way I see it is that we are in this kind of, well, especially nowadays, it's even more relevant, you could say, because of, some call it like hyper reality, where we have this kind of, like basically a consensus of just like fake reality. Some call it like, what is it called? Simulacra. Has anyone looked into that? What they call it? That basically that we are, you know, it's becoming less and less like organic experiences. That all of our experiences, it's all based on, it's like a simulation, or to the point where our whole life feels like a simulation. So that might be why so many people feel like we live in a simulation, like we're in some computer, because as technology has progressed, nothing feels real anymore. We're second guessing everything. Like we've got AI now that's becoming more and more realistic to a point where some people can't tell the difference. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, going for a workout. Oh cool, yeah, I'm going to be doing some stuff later. I'll probably be at the gym later, so... Yeah, so like... Yeah, simulacra is called. But yeah, basically... You know, we're basically, like, for example, I'm using this phone right now to talk to you guys. I'm not actually talking to you guys in person. So most of the experiences we have these days aren't even real. Like, what you're hearing isn't my actual voice, but rather what that it's picked up, and then it's interpreted these signals and then projected them to you guys. Okay, Kieran. So it's projected these signals out, but you're not actually hearing my voice right now. Simulation of it. And then when you're putting your, pictures out on social media, for example, and then, you say like, they're not even, that is just a picture of you, an artificial picture on a screen, then the comments that you see are digital, they're not even, you know what I mean, everything's all a simulation. So I think that's why a lot of people feel like we live in a literal simulation. It's also a matter of better understanding cause and effect within the simulacra. Yeah. Basically, yeah, it's like people need to become aware that we are in a simulacra, and then we can start to have more organic, real-life experiences and make real-life experiences great again. Hello, Dave Toby. Some reckon that it will get to a point where people will get so sick of the AI that eventually they'll just kind of decide to go back to more organic experiences, because they just don't trust all this AI, and it's AI slop everywhere, and they're not going to be able to like crack down on it all, are they? It's just everywhere. It's ubiquitous. Anytime you go on your feed, half of it's just a bunch of AI slop now. A lot of it's just AI slop, and it's getting harder and harder to tell. And once it's so difficult to tell, then are people just going to be like, I don't even know what's real anymore? And then the only way for me to know what's real is to go out and actually meet people, because I know that then when I shake somebody's hand or give somebody a high five or whatever it might be, right, that is a real experience that you're having. Like, there's this whole metaverse, and that's apparently failed because it does not, you can't just simulate real life experiences like that. I mean, you can, but it's not going to be the same, is it? Because you know it's not real. You know that the people you're interacting with in the metaverse are not actually there with you. So as much as you try to make it into this make-believe scenario or whatever, it's not real. And people are getting sick of the fakery. So hopefully, we can be optimistic and we can sort of start to make interacting in person happen more again, because otherwise I just don't have any hope for the future, really. It's like the dating thing as well. I mean, that needs to kind of, like, the dating apps, I think, need to just become kind of like, a thing of the past, really. Because I think that that's actually ruining dating as well. Well, that's it, you just either live in a dream or you go out into the real world. But for some people, it's just an escape. But people need to try and realize what it is they're trying to escape from, because, it's never going to go away. You can try and bury your head in the sand. Like, for example, there's this whole thing of AI girlfriends and stuff like that, and hello, Letso. Hello, okay. Hello, Bryce. It's like with all this AI girlfriend stuff, and it's like some people will do it because they're afraid of going out and trying to get someone in person. But will it get to the point where people long so much for reality that they will just feel forced to kind of just get off this online fake BS? That there'll be some kind of like collective kind of crisis, if you will, of what the fuck are we all doing with our lives? Especially if there's some kind of like population collapse start to happen because nobody's going out and actually meeting anybody anymore. Like, is that something that would happen as some kind of like, there's this, apparently that's one of the, I've heard it's one of the hermetic principles or something, is the pendulum swing or something. I'll have to just check that out or something, but let's have a look at the hermetic principles. Right, let's have a look at it. So, yeah, that was it, Kabbalion. Someone was talking about that in the chat earlier. So basically, let's have a look. Was it cause and effect? That might be the thing I was talking about with the pendulum swing. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Nothing happens by chance. Every action or thought sets a ripple into motion. This empowers you to be a causer of your destiny rather than just reacting to circumstances. Here we go, occult nonsense. Well, if you disagree, that's fine. I mean, it's just, you're all entitled to have your own opinion, but this is just, this is just based on, like, to me, this is just like comment before about, what's this? There's no population collapse. Not every country wants to have the population density of Bangladesh. Japan is smart by closing their doors to migrants and not buying into the population collapse. I'm just saying that, that if they ever got anywhere close to that point, then people would just kind of react to something that is like, okay, this is going too far now, and then things will kind of. What I'm saying about the if we are pushed so much into like being kind of separate by social media, eventually there's going to be this counter effect happen. So I'm sure we were talking about that with the simulacra before of the cause and effect. You literally said that word, cause and effect, understanding. That's literally what you said. I'm literally talking about the cause and effect, one of the 7 hermetic principles, that every cause has its effect, every effect has its cause. So, I mean, like that's what I'm saying, that if we get pushed so much into, like, not saying that we are getting pushed, but we are influenced into going online, eventually that will get to a point where things start to swing the other way, like a pendulum swing. When you think of like the pendulum hitting the other, and then it kind of like, and then it hits back. So there's that whole thing of reactionary physics. It's like with Newton's physics. With the whole with the Newton's cradle. If you remember that, with the pendulum motion. Is it the Newton's? It was the that's the one. Yeah, with the I was talking with like the cause and effect and the bouncing off each other. Everybody stood like sardines. We would all fit inside half of Jamaica. Well, I don't know about that really, because obviously we can't have everybody everywhere. You know what I mean? There's places on Earth that are uninhabitable. So yeah, that's the problem. I do think that we could get to a point of overpopulation eventually, but I don't think it's anywhere near that. But I do think that this idea that, I remember they were saying that we could all have, an acre of land or something, and fit in the size of Texas or something. But I don't necessarily think that it's really logical to assume that we can just kind of fit everybody on every square inch of Earth. There are places that we cannot live. Like there's places in the Arctic, there's places desert, there's like deep jungles. It's like some of these places we just couldn't live. Some places are floodplains, etc. Probably more than half of the Earth is uninhabitable. So yeah. Anyway, the problem is that there were 1 billion people on the planet in the year 1900, and there are over 8 billion today. Yeah. Don't forget, we also live in an apartment building with 100 floors, so it swings and roundabouts. Yeah, there is that as well, but who the hell wants to live in high-rise apartments, though, I couldn't imagine a world just being full of high-rise apartments. It would just look awful. You see these fucking high-rises everywhere popping up. And imagine living in one, Not for me. It's bad enough, and I live in this, thing, and I'm, on the top floor, but, yeah. You get these people on, a 10 foot up in a fucking, imagine if it actually set on fire, and then you'd be fucked. You know what I mean? Because if you try coming out of there, then good luck landing safely. yeah, obviously that's some kind of ifs and buts, however, but yeah, I'm still alive, yeah. The effects of all the population already being felt as poorer countries are shipping their surplus populations to wealthier countries while the birth rates in poorer countries remain high. Well, I mean, why would they be doing that? Why not just stop having I mean, you could say, well, they should just, I don't know. It's one of those things like, you could say it's more down to the fact that rich people should probably try and help out with it, but they won't do. It's not our fault necessarily. It's if they could actually help these countries be a bit more kind of wealthier, then you could argue that would actually help with the population climbing in those countries. But I've heard, isn't it in India the population isn't growing as much now or something? Like if you look at population growth, but I've heard in the UK that we're actually down to like below replacement level, and I mean you could say it's the migrants are actually keeping the population high. But if you look at UK birth rates per couple, right? So like it's saying 1.41 per woman in 2024. But remember, you have to have two to have a child. So the replacement level is 2.1. There's no incentive to give birth anymore. So what do you think would be this? One was suggesting that government should subsidize having children, but then you could say, well, then that would be taken from the taxpayers. It would be punishing those that don't want to have children, which some would say that that's not fair. Anyway, so there's every incentive when you remove the unnatural vice. What's the unnatural vice? What are you talking about? Nursery fees alone are around 2k a month without the 3 hours scheme. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? That you've got daycare centres, it's just very expensive, a lot of that stuff, isn't it? So something that would have to change in order for people to actually want to, because yeah, if you look at even 2023, 1.44, so it's going down each year, basically. Families used to look after children, but now everyone moves away and buys nothing. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, like I said, that people moving out from their parents, but then if they all work together, didn't they say something like it takes a village to raise a child or something? But I would say at least it takes a family to raise a child. I mean, if you have your extended family there to be able to help out, and it's going to help with taking on some of that burden instead of having ridiculous childcare charges and stuff like that. So, anyway, but it's just that if things don't change, then it's going to keep on getting worse, is what I'm saying, and it will become basically almost extinct. But then, like I said, there's places in the third world that are still booming in population, Imran. But then what's going to happen is, you're saying more of these people are going to migrate to richer countries. So unless something gets fucking done about this shit, then, so you could say that the whole thing of the immigration thing is just a symptom of a bigger problem. That, yeah. So yeah, I don't agree that we should be taking on all these fucking people in these fucking hotels and shit, but these fucking rich fucks, they could probably, like I said, write a check and fucking, you know, do something about it. Bigger my arms, I don't know. Why do you care? I mean, talk about mindset. Okay. Okay. The unnatural vice, hang on, is sex that can engender children. I say this with all love, in fact, because of the hell. Yeah, that's up, isn't it? Yeah. Sorry to hear about that. Oh, Joe. Hope you're well. Battery percentage. Yeah. I was thinking whether I could do an outdoor workout or something, but yeah, I might do that actually, because the weather's actually okay, so I could do that instead of going to the gym. Let's see what the weather's doing later. Yeah, it should be alright. So I'll probably do that then. Go down to the pull-up bar. Yeah, so I'm going to try and film the short for later and see if I can do the assisted one-arm pull-up. So I'm looking forward to giving that a try. See if I can do it. So what you do, instead of like your arms, you're going to like hold with one arm and then you're going to hold the other arm or the wrist or whatever. And then as you get stronger, you can then move further up to a point where you're actually go up to your shoulder and you're not really getting that much support from this other arm. Whereas if I'm holding it here, it's going to give me a lot more support. So that's a way to work up to the one arm pull-up. So anyway, there's nothing wrong with living in a densely populated country if you want to, but countries that have a near replacement birth rate shouldn't be burdened with overpopulation issues caused in other countries. Well, the UK doesn't have near replacement level birth rates right now. 1.41. The replacement level is 2.1. So, yeah, I mean, but it's just one of those things, and let's look at the UK population, see what that looks like right now, 2026. Have a look on the graph for that. See if it's gone up recently or alright, it says here 69.8 million. So let's have a look. What is the population right now? There's this thing on growth rate. Apparently there was a bit of time around 1980 where there was actually a decrease. Anyway, but so just looking at the population spike right now. The question is, how much of that is due to immigration? Well, that's the thing of like, there is this biological instinct to want to procreate, and people can try and go against that, but it's like, it's one of those things that some people say that people will eventually regret it once they no longer can do it. Then they're going to be at a point where it's like, oh fuck, what if I did? I'm not saying that everyone should. I'm not a Christian now. That's a 23% increase in population in less than a decade. That's crazy. But it even happening if we're below replacement level, unless it's by a bunch of... Let's have a look. How many people have moved to the UK in the last 10 years? Let's see. How many? 7.4 million people have, apparently. 7.4 million. So that's about over 10% of the population. So the question is, how is it then that the population has increased by 23%? Because unless you say, is it because of an aging population or something? But apparently the life expectancy hasn't really gone up by much at all in the last few years. So, yeah. Earth rate below replacement level. Why is popular? Let's have a look. There's a rise in people only having one child, yeah. So it talks about the UK population continues to increase despite below replacement fertility, primarily due to high levels of net migration, which accounted for almost all population growth since 2020. Additionally, increased life expectancy and demographic momentum, a large number of existing young adults having children, mean the population grows despite fewer babies per woman. Demographic, saying even with lower birth rates, a relatively large existing population of young adults means that the total number of births can still exceed deaths. So is that they're talking about in terms of in terms of like the demographics of young versus old or something? What's that, Bradley? But birth numbers versus rates. While the fertility rate, children per woman, is below the replacement level of 2.1, the sheer number of women of childbearing age bolstered by migration has kept the absolute number of births high, enough to fuel growth. Does that make sense? So basically, like, if it has gone up, like, let's see, like, what was the population, UK population 2016, that was 67 million is what it was then. Oh, hang on a second. It was 65 million. So you're saying a 23% increase. Where are you getting those numbers from? There's a 7 million increase due to migration, apparently. Basically, I don't know in terms of net migration. You could argue that some also will have left the country as well. So how many have left the country versus how many have come into the country? But I'd say a large amount of the increase is, net migration. Because some, like, how many people left the country? How many people left UK in last 10 years? 5.2 million people emigrated from the UK in decade between June 2012 and June 2021. Well, that's 9 years. I'm talking 2016 to 2026. Alright. point is there's more people coming in, I believe, than there is leaving. What are you talking about? You said in 10 years the population increased or something. Oh, really? Good for you. Alright, I think I'm gonna get going, guys. I'll see you all later.